Good morning on the 23rd of August, 2020 in the Western Pacific. Severe Tropical Storm Bavi, as rated by the Japan Meteorological Agency, still towards the west of Okinawa here. Now, I got good news and got bad news with today's forecast compared to 24 and even more so 48 hours ago. The good news is that it does look pretty concrete that the core of that center of circulation still expected to move towards the west of Okinawa as a Category 1 to Category 2 equivalent of a typhoon on the Saffir-Simpson scale. The bad news is plenty of the moisture and these outer rain bands are wrapping around the eastern periphery, which means there's going to be localized bands of gusty winds and very heavy rainfall moving across Okinawa primarily Sunday evening heading into Monday morning. And then eventually, looking ahead, the Korean Peninsula is going to be taking a pretty significant impact from the storm. Even around the Seoul area, you could be looking at several million people expecting some typhoon-strength winds, but also torrential rainfall with flooding definitely being a main concern. We often see that when you have storms of this intensity moving into the Korean Peninsula. So, several factors here, but first I do want to talk about the direct impacts on the island of Okinawa. So far, actually across the southern Japanese island, I've seen some wind reports out here, specifically on Ishigaki-jima, located right about there. This is Okinawa Honto right there, of upwards about 75 to 80 mile per hour wind gust. But you still see those rain bands coming through. Center of circulation is right there, and once those rain bands start to wrap around towards Okinawa Honto, where I'm sure a majority of the people watching this video are living, when we're going to start to see those gustier winds arrive. So let's break this down hour by hour using the JMA High Resolution Weather Model. Now, JMA stands for the Japan Meteorological Agency. So compared to any other model out here, GFS, European model, I see a lot of people sharing those. I think JMA is the best one because it is geared towards the weather in this area, and it's very high resolution. You have Okinawa here. This is 1900 Japan Standard Time. That's JST. You can see that center of circulation, very deep, about 970 hectopascals being picked up by this model. That would indicate probably about a typhoon with winds sustained around 120 kilometers per hour, about 70 to 80 miles per hour. Around this inner eye wall, that's these isobars right in here. But you look further towards the east, Okinawa Honto's not getting the direct impact from those tighter winds. That's why I would not expect sustained winds of typhoon strength on the island. But look at this. Sunday night into Monday morning. This is 3 a.m. Yes, the center and the worst of it is passing towards the west, thankfully. If it does waver a little bit towards the east, this could dramatically change. But let's just pull up the precipitation at this time. Look at this rain band right in here about 2 to 3 a.m. I'm curious if this actually does follow through. But within these centralized areas of rainfall, you get a little bit outflow, you get those gustier winds, some tighter isobars, and these are when you could see those winds, maybe not destructive, but enough to really sufficiently relocate lighter objects. So that's what you want to worry about with this. Maybe not the sustained pattern you would see in a typhoon eye wall. Shots of gusty winds embedded in those rain bands that move through. For example, here I got max winds possible on Okinawa Honto, 80 to 90 mile per hour gust. That is actually from the Japan Meteorological Agency. I think the 90 is a very high end, but JMA does say that coastal areas could see gusts that high. Anything a little bit more sheltered, definitely lower, and it's going to be instantaneous winds, so pretty low. 4 to 6 inches of rainfall, that is also very probable, especially if you get those localized areas, heavier rain, and dangerous waves with this limited storm surge, especially in the southern and western coastline. Yesterday, I mentioned Cape Zampa. I know it came across as I said Camp Zama. No, those sound similar. Cape Zampa on the west coast. A lot of people like to go there to watch the big waves. Places like that. I've literally seen videos of people getting washed off that cliff face there. Check out videographer James Reynolds' YouTube channel. He's got a very dramatic one. It's not easy to watch, but it does put the realistic visualization of what could happen there. You don't respect these storms, even ones that are passing just towards the west. But yeah, thankfully, yeah, I'm sure tomorrow you hear it from people. Oh, it passed. Ha ha ha. Another forecast gone wrong. No, it's just right off the coast. But as typically is the case with typhoons, if you don't get hit by the inner eye wall, you're not getting hit by the full force of the storm system. Anyways, let's look ahead, and eventually this is going to hover around the Asami Islands just towards the north and east before drifting off towards the Korean Peninsula. This is what the GFS actually shows by Wednesday evening, a full-on typhoon moving into western areas of Korea. Seoul, looking at some pretty significant impacts, and all these mountains across central locations of the peninsula really could act just squeeze out the moisture from this storm. And in fact, we actually look ahead, you can just see how this moves over the DPRK, kind of falls apart. That is just that disruption of the mountains coming into play here, which could significantly increase the threat of flooding across the DPRK. As we all know, there's a lot of poor communities in that area, and yeah, definitely 500 to 600 millimeters of rainfall would be a very catastrophic situation into North Korea. So anyways, here's a quick look at your visible satellite imagery. I wanted to end on this because it's a nice imagery of sunrise out here, and you can just see those higher level cumulonimbus clouds developing around that center of circulation, and those rain bands towards the southwest of Naha. You can see right there, all of that is developing with that heat of the day. It's hitting the Kuroshio, and it is going to move into your direction. So Sunday evening, Monday early morning, the worst of the weather, mainly with these outer rain bands. You can see just continuing to build and popcorn up near Okinawa Honto. So guys, stay safe out there. Don't underestimate this. Even though it is towards the west, center of circulation is offshore, there is those rain bands that are going to come through, and when those hit, I always hear it, some people are just caught off guard by it. They think the center line is well towards the west, and you do have to take into account just this big swath of showers and thunderstorms on the eastern side of this big severe tropical storm, soon to be typhoon. Stay safe out there. As always, thanks for watching.